I want to give you a little rant about attachment, because I have this conversation every fucking day in therapy with people, where there's this idea that, you know, you can like learn those 4 attachment styles. You know, we can talk about the history of this. I don't think it's really useful or interesting, the history of this, but you know, there's this concept of there's these 4 attachment styles. I'm one of these things, and that's just what I am, and I'm going to always be working towards security. And like, you know, 1%, when I was doing child welfare work, the statistic was 1% of the world was secure attached. I'm like, well, that's not very helpful. And the rest of us were just like fucking ruining it, like hurting each other and ourselves forever. But like, what's actually true, and if you look at some of the research, I'm going to find some of these links, because, you know, I'm not an academic, fuck academia. I mean, there's useful things about it and good people in it, but the system is oppressive. But yeah, there's research and some of the early, like later writings of Bowlby that talk about attachment is always flexible and growing and changing, and especially the key thing about attachment actually is that it is our survival mechanism to survive. And in some ways, attachment theory is really directly linked, also a theory, to the polyvagal theory. This is going to be a combined rant for those of you needing this. Both things are theories. They're ideas that fucking white men, mostly white men came up with these ideas about how our bodies and brains and everything work based on like individualism. This idea of like, I'm going to look at you in this tiny bubble and make a decision about what's fucking wrong with you. How do you like this shirt today? Overworked and underfucked. Constantly in my life. DM me if you want to change that. No, just kidding. But yeah, so there's this idea, right? These white men came up with these ideas. These is what pathology is, you know, in attachment lens or in polyvagal lens. And you know, what we think is maybe the polyvagal thing isn't an actual, like, there isn't an actual structure that is this, you know, left ventral vagal and right ventral vagal and the dorsal vagal. Like, those structures may not exist in the way that we have been trying to find them. Like, I did this one day actually where I sat down in the neuroscience section of Powell's books in Portland and I looked for the vagus nerve in every neuroscience book I could find, and it wasn't in there. Like, it was in there, it existed, but no one talked about there being these branches. And it's like, how is there no fucking neuroscientist ever like figured this, or neurobiologist or anybody figured this out, and some fucking social worker or whatever, I don't know, sorry dude, I don't know. Whatever he is, came along and was like this. But what I think, okay, this is the truth behind it. The thing that he's talking about in the ventral vagal system being the social conditioning system, this place where we learn to be safe, learn to feel safe with each other, learn to perceive this being the like myelinated sheath. You can tell I've taught this a lot. You know, that we have this ventral vagal system that is this, you know, more sophisticated. It evolved later in our human development, and it has the ability to allow us to be smarter, not be impulsive, like I'm going to stab you or run. I'm going to like look for social cues. Oh, are they smiling? Are they approaching me? You know, I'm going to use my social system. You know, the vagus nerve is very much connected to this. Facial cues are like muscles in our face. Like, all of this is sort of this process of like vagus regulation that is based in social cues and social connection, which is what attachment is. It's our ability to either feel attached, safe with other people that we know, feel connected and can regulate, or our ability to form that with new people in you know, meaningful ways when we need to. So they're really interrelated because that is right, this theory. They're both this pieces of the story that humans have fucked up our relational skills because of capitalism, white supremacy, colonization, genocide, that we've lost our relational skills and then we're being told that we're fucked up, something's wrong with us because we're not doing these things well, that we're all insecurely attached, we all have like vagus nerve disruption and, you know, are oscillating these trauma activations. But the point of it really is that we have to get better at relationships. ADHDers sometimes get to the point. This is why I need a leash to like, okay, what are you trying to say? That what we need to build relational skills, and build relational skills within ourselves, relational skills with other people, relational skills with how to, not just, oh, I'm repairing my attachment style, that doesn't actually help, but how do we learn how to find people who want the things we want? So first is like, are we actually looking for the same thing in a relationship structure? In terms of like commitment, in terms of intertwining lives, in terms of connection, like amount of connection, amount of talking, amount of touch. Like, do you actually negotiate the various aspects of relational connection that you want? This person can be the hottest person ever to you, and you like love them deeply, and you have a really, you know, beautiful thing. But if you don't have the same desires and wants and expectations in a relationship, it just isn't going to work. So can you have that conversation from day one? And then instead of thinking there's something wrong with you for like pursuing and pursuing and pursuing, or running away because you're not actually compatible from day one, and you feel this pressure that, oh, because there's this fire, we need to like be doing this thing, or because we had sex once, we need to be doing this thing. And so what got you to that place? So that's the first thing. Is it a good assessment about this person? Are they a good fit for you, your needs? Relational structure. Are they a good fit in terms of sexual desire and sexual compatibility? Lots of good humans we can be in relationships with, really incompatible sexually. And if you're monogamous, it's just not going to work. So can you be honest about that? That has a huge influence on attachment, because then there's the chase and pursue and constant like feeling like you're not important and your needs aren't important and they don't really love, like all the shit that comes with just being mismatched again from day one. Another conversation you need to be having really fast. And then there's the question of, are you both doing your personal work? So these are sort of three criteria, right? Are you doing your personal work to like be acknowledging when you're, having difficulty with feelings, or being reactive, or being secretive, or being avoidant, or whatever. Are you doing your personal work to be in healthy relationship? Can you have direct communication? Can you have conflict? That's the fourth one. How do you move through conflict? Is there space? I have a lot of regrets about this in my life. So many friendships. I'll probably be reaching out to you someday. So many friendships and people that I just like stopped talking to because we were in conflict and we didn't figure out how to get through it. But how do you be in conflict? How do you move through the like emotional stuff that comes with that like maybe you're not being abandoned, left, furthering this attachment wound. Maybe you're being asked to grow and change and deal with your shit and like face a hard truth about yourself. And like what would that look like to like just be honest about it and say it. And then a fifth one is this the relationship with self. Are you always working on your self-worth? This idea that if you don't feel safe in your own skin, nobody's ever going to validate that to you. So that's distinct from an attachment story, and it's about just, can you, more vagus nerve shit, can you ground, can you regulate, can you find your equilibrium, doing it in nature with a little bit of, maybe a little psychedelic help, maybe a little bit of co-regulation with other people, but you have to be able to get to your regulation space sometimes. And it cannot be, maybe you learn to do it in community. Co-regulation is one of the best strategies. Do it with friends, do it with family, do it with partners, do it in community, not one person, in community. So like no one's needy. We just haven't found the right dynamics to meet our needs. And so we're like always like searching and gasping. It's more often about community creation than it is about finding the right partner, because no one person should be our, responsible for meeting our needs. It has to be a community response. Okay, then the sixth thing is this idea that attachment is this kind of like fixed style that you have, like this is your fucked upness, that you're, insecurely attached, whatever. I hate when dating profiles have that. I'm just like, can't you say anything more interesting about yourself? So then this idea that what actually happens is the same way that our vagus nerve, or this, social trauma system, we don't have to call it the vagus nerve. Our brains are doing this thing. Our brains are perceiving and reading social cues to decide if we're safe. It doesn't matter the structures, it is doing this thing. So when your brain's doing this thing, our brains do that in relationships every single moment, because we're always trying to stay safe, trying to stay in harmony, trying to stay connected. I'm sure you all know those moments in relationships where you like don't say the thing you want to say, or like quick change what you want, or in the attempt to please or connect with this person, right? And it's not always bad. It's not always like you're sacrificing yourself. It's just like the constant adjustment we make to stay in connections, to like be safe with this person, and that is the attachment stuff that we're building. In every single relationship, we do that differently. So what's more often the case is that you will have a different attachment style with each relational connection that you're in, depending on how they relate to you. So someone who is a little more avoidant, you're likely going to be more anxious because you're needing more of that kind of like sense of like, who am I? How do I relate to this person? Again, a problem that is solved by good relationship communication. So a lot of like our deficits we identify as attachment stuff is just like people are bad at relationships and people don't know how to have these conversations. And so they're doing stupid shit and then be like, what is the meaning? It's like, we shouldn't be playing games with each other. If we can't say who we want, say what we want, say what we're doing, who we are, we shouldn't be dating people. Just hire a sex worker. Way more effective. Get your needs met, move on. We can just even go on dates with you. You don't need to like, doesn't even need to be about sex. So yeah, I mean, your attachment style is changing with each relationship that you're in, and it's moving through different adaptations like to feel safe. And that's healthy, that's normal, that's just like social relating. Like you see kids do it every day. They're like, oh, okay, how's this person responding? Okay, now what are, like our brains are meant to do that. It becomes fucked up when you stop having your feelings or needs, when you stop communicating, when you don't actually like talk about there being disconnect, because you're so worried about staying safe with this person. Like that's abusive. That's when it, and they may not even be doing that to you. That's stuff you're doing to yourself because there's this intense fear of that loss. But oftentimes the person that is engaging in that sees that and is allowing it to continue. So that's like one way that abuse sometimes happens. And we call it attachment stuff when it's just like, if a person can get all their, I had a dude like this in my life that's like, if you're gonna take care of me and do everything, like of course I want that around. Like I'm not gonna meet your needs, but I'll still like take it and like want that care, because it doesn't benefit them to change it. So like, are you both, maybe this is a 7th point, I don't know what number I'm on, but are you both like working towards a common goal of growth and change? There's no guarantee that relationships will have any kind of outcome. The only like place you could maybe build an agreement is that you'll always communicate. The minute something's changing, oh, I'm having more feelings for this person, or I want more space, or I, whatever. Like, can you talk about it? And if you can't, again, like learn those relational skills before you're harming people. And don't blame it on attachment and blame it on trauma stuff. Like blame it on like, okay, how do I learn to be in a relationship? And if I'm so terrified about losing that person, then I need to build community. I need more friends, I need more families, I need humans, I need to be volunteering. How do I build enough humans that have me grounded and anchored and resourced so that my partner isn't that? And then relationships can grow and change without the intense fear and activation around what does this mean? It's like, no, your kids will have other people in your life. They already have, Tias and all the things. Like how are you pre-building in that kind of a system so that you allow yourself to be more flexible and responsive in your relationships, Thanks for listening.